Welcome to the stream. Please let me know your questions ahead of game week 8. I'm doing this at a bit unusual time. I usually have Friday night Q&As ahead of the next deadline, but trying something different. Found a bit of time this Sunday, so trying to be a bit earlier than usual, so the deadline is not close. It's still next Saturday, so 6 days away, but I know that a lot of people are playing their wildcards and free hits during the international break, so if you're interested, go post a picture of your team on my latest post over on X, and I'll get the team up on the screen and we'll have a discussion. So the most transferred in player ahead of game week 8, once again, it's Semenyo Holland. He is second, and the Newcastle forward Voltmar, he is actually the third most transferred in player ahead of game week 8. The most sold player is actually Mo Salah. Grealish is second, while João Pedro is third most sold ahead of game week 8. One really interesting thing is that Salah and João Pedro, they are actually on the top 5 list for the bookies anytime goal scorers. So I think that there will be a couple of disappointed FPL managers in game week 8. I still think João Pedro is a keep. Then Salah, of course, I don't think that he is worth his price tag, but he can do well against Man United in game week 8. Julian Swinburne, hello. Thanks for joining in. How are you? And how is your team looking ahead of game week 8? Good luck with the bench boost. I'm really tempted to play my bench boost, but I need to make a couple of transfers before confirming it. I have NGI, tough fixture, and I have Nico Williams playing against João Pedro. This is not ideal, and I have Rodgers in my team as well, and Rodgers, he will most probably be sold ahead of game week 8. I actually have Rodgers playing against both Pedro Porro and Van de Ven, and this is not good. So at the moment, my initial plan was to sell Rodgers to bring in Enzo Fernandez, but he actually has withdrawn from the Argentina camp and he's back in England because of a knee injury. So at the moment, I'm not really sure what my transfer will be ahead of game week 8. What do you think of Mateta? I think Mateta, he will always be a good FPL option as the situation is over at Crystal Palace at the moment. After SA left, he is their first choice penalty taker, and I think that he is a good FPL option. It's not the best fixtures for Crystal Palace, so in my opinion at the moment, I think that probably Sar is better value. He will get chances. He actually scored 2 goals during the international break as well, but of course, if you think that Mateta will do well, he's definitely a good option going forward. 2.5 million overall rating. I'll be back. 2.5, decent rank at the moment, in my opinion. Only takes a couple of good game weeks to break into the top 1 million, and we're only 8 game weeks in after the next game week, so still early days, a lot can happen. It will be really interesting to watch the press conference ahead of game week 8, especially the Chelsea one with Enzo Maresca. He's usually one to give a lot of information. I'm really hoping that he will tell us if Enzo Fernandez will be fit or if he will miss game week 8. I think if you have him in your team and he will miss 1 game, I think this is fine, but I'm definitely not going to transfer in Enzo if he's a doubt ahead of game week 8. As mentioned earlier, I will probably play my bench boost. I really like game week 8 bench boost for my team, especially considering that I have Dubravka and I have Rodon as well. At the moment, Rodon, he is actually in my starting 11 due to the good fixture against Burnley. What rank are you right now? My rank at the moment is 4.7, 4.8, something like that. Had a really, really terrible start game week 1. Only 1 return, actually, and it was the clean sheet from Van de Ven. So tough start, but I think it was like 9.7. And I actually managed to half my rank so far, and hopefully my aim is to get into the top 1 million ahead of game week 10, or during game week 10 at least. The funny thing is that actually my best FPL rank in my best FPL season also started with a really tough start. I remember wildcarding early that season as well. So I don't necessarily see a bad start. I don't think the season is ruined. ATL's AM, hi mates. Thanks for joining in. I haven't really checked. Let's go and see if there are some teams posted over on X. So if you're interested in having a team review, post a picture of your team under my latest post. Let's see. FPL Tip Top Tiggy. Let's have a look. That picture format is kind of hard to fit in, so let's just do this. Mine is there, Tiggy. Thanks for posting your team. Napstars in the chat. FPL Tiggy on X. Let's have a look at this team. Donnarumma in goal, Timber, O'Reilly, and Diouf in defense. I really like the Diouf pick. I actually made a wildcard video and free hit video ahead of game week 8. And I think Diouf, he is a really good differential going forward. He's actually contributed with 3 assists so far this season. And I think that their new manager, Nuno Espirito Santos, will be good for their defenders. He looks really aggressive and solid in defense as well, so I think that he is a really solid pick. I think he will pick up defensive contribution points going forward as well. O'Reilly, a big punt in my opinion. I'm not expecting him to start week in, week out, but he has a lot of potential. And at the moment, I think he will start and play most minutes in the Premier League, but he is kind of a red flag when it comes to FPL, because there will be a lot of rotation in Man City. In midfield, Xavi Simons, Phil Foden, Salah captain, Semenyo is in as well, and Xhaka. Xhaka, he has been really impressive. He's been really steady and picking up 4 or 5 points for a lot of game weeks. And this, when we will count the points, when we head into the end of the season, I think Xhaka will have had a really good FPL season. Up front, Jared Bowen and Calvert-Lewin. Of course, Calvert-Lewin, I have seen a lot of praise of Calvert-Lewin over at X. I think that I'm not really sure what I think, to be honest, but the fixtures, and especially the fixture in game week 8, is really, really good playing against Burnley. I think that Calvert-Lewin short term can do well, but I can also see him struggle. But at the moment, he's nailed on, and he will start the most games going forward. So Calvert-Lewin, solid punt. My punt in that price category would probably be Strand Larsen, especially if it turns out that he is on penalties for Wolves. I think Strand Larsen maybe edges it ahead of Calvert-Lewin. I have been burnt on Calvert-Lewin before, so maybe this is one of the reasons why I'm a bit reluctant to pick Calvert-Lewin in my team at the moment. But Jared Bowen, really, really solid option. On the bench, Senesi, I still think that he is a decent option, even though the fixtures gets a bit tougher for Bournemouth. Richarlison is in there as well. I think this is a really, really solid team. A lot of punts and differentials. So hopefully this team will do well going forward. I'm not allowed to have Haaland. I have 3.8 in the bank, and my two transfer plans is to roll Xavi Simons to Rice in game week 9, Foden to Saka. I think not having Haaland in, of course, this frees up some funds. At the moment, I don't necessarily see Salah as worth his price tag, but of course, really good record against Man United, and at the moment, I think that he is actually a differential. So a lot of active managers have sold Mo Salah. He is one of the most transferred out players ahead of game week 8 as well, and he has been for the last couple of game weeks. So even though Salah's ownership is still high, I think there are a lot of dead teams with Mo Salah in. He was one of the most selected players ahead of game week 1, but among active managers, I think that Salah is a differential. So for game week 8, this definitely can work out, but bringing in one, maybe even two Arsenal assets, I think this sounds like a really good plan for the next couple of game weeks. I really like Saka. We got the confirmation that he is the first choice penalty taker for Arsenal. He took the penalty while Gyökeres was on the pitch, so having a plan to bring in Saka, I like this as well. Would you roll the transfer? I think this team is good enough for game week 8, definitely, and transfers, they are valuable as well, so rolling a transfer this game week can definitely be a really good idea. And seeing that you have the plan to bring in Saka in game week 9, I think you can definitely roll in game week 8. I can do Simmons, Xavi Simons to Saka. $3.8. If you have the option to just do Xavi Simons to Bukayo Saka with one transfer, I would definitely consider doing it. Get in early. His price will probably go up ahead of game week 8 as well. It was 9.8 ahead of game week 7. Now it's up to 9.9. I think it will be 10 ahead of game week 8. So of course I would wait until all the international break games are done, but Xavi Simons to Saka, I really like this move ahead of game week 8. But having Xhaka in your starting 11, I think this is good enough for game week 8, especially considering the fixture, Sunderland playing at home against Wolves. Julian Swinburne, I would do Xavi to Saka. Yeah, I kind of agree. I think if you have enough funds in the bank to do Xavi Simons to Saka with only one transfer, I think this probably is a really good idea, as mentioned. Danica Jonas, so had to hear on the Enzo knee injury. Hope he recovers quickly. Never a good thing to hear players getting injured. Who you think are good replacements in the Chelsea team with their good fixtures? As mentioned earlier on in this stream as well, it will be really, really interesting to see the press conference ahead of game week 8. Enzo Maresca is usually one to give up a lot of information, so hopefully he can tell us if Enzo will play or not. My plan is actually to sell Rodgers and bring in Enzo Fernandez, but unless we get the confirmation that Enzo Fernandez is fit, I will probably look at some other options. So on my watch lists, I have players like Paqueta and Anthony Gordon. So in that price range, I think those are really good options as well. Paqueta on penalties for West Ham, and Gordon, he should still be on penalties for Newcastle. I know Voltmade took the last penalty for Newcastle in game week 7, but this was without Anthony Gordon on the pitch. So if you have Enzo Fernandez, and if he will only miss one game, I would definitely just keep him. Napstars, Julian Swinburne, can we swap teams? What do you mean? When it comes to Chelsea assets at the moment, I think it's kind of hard selecting Chelsea assets, but I'm a bit surprised to see that João Pedro is one of the most transferred out player. To be honest, I'm definitely going to keep João Pedro in my own team. And I would actually consider to buy João Pedro ahead of game week 8 as well. The thing is that he got suspended in the last Champions League game as well, so he will definitely be rested when Chelsea play Europe. So I think João Pedro is a good FPL option at the moment. Caicedo, I read something about Caicedo, and he actually has 3 goals so far this season. I can't really see Caicedo keeping up his scoring goals at this rate. So, of course, he will continue picking up defensive contributions, but I'm expecting Caicedo's output to drop a bit going forward. 3 goals in 7 games for Caicedo. Can't really see him keeping this up, to be honest, but of course at that price still a decent option, and considering the Chelsea fixtures as mentioned in the chat, they look great going forward. So I think that we at least should have 2 Chelsea assets going forward. With Cole Palmer injured and Enzo Fernandez, he will most probably take their penalties, so I think that Enzo is a really good option, but we'll have to wait and see if he's actually fit to play ahead of game week 8. He has withdrawn from the Argentina camp, so there are some question marks about Enzo Fernandez ahead of game week 8. Napstars, how will we swap teams? The only thing I can think of is that you just completely swap emails as well. This will traumatize you. I'm not allowed to have Holland 3.8. My plan is to roll or do Savvy to rise. So to like make a quick summary of Tip Top Tiggy on X or Napstars in the chat. I think that if you have enough in the bank to just sell Xavi Simons and bring in Saka, I think this is a really good idea ahead of game week 8. So this is my team at the moment. I have my bench boost active, but I'm not really satisfied with this team, so I will have to make a couple of transfers. I have 2 free transfers, 0.7 in the bank. My initial plan was to sell Rodgers and bring in Enzo Fernandez. Probably sell Nico Williams as well to bring in someone like Diouf. Another option for me is to sell Rodgers and bring in Paqueta, and this will give me enough in the bank to sell Nico Williams and bring in Gabriel. So I really like Enzo, but if Enzo is not fit to play in game week 8, I will definitely sell Rodgers to bring in Paqueta, and I will sell Nico Williams and upgrade him to an Arsenal defender. Man City, they are the bookies' favorites for a clean sheet, 48% for their fixture at home against Everton. So on a free hit, I would consider loading up with at least 1 defender from Man City together with Erling Haaland. Arsenal, they are second 42%, and Leeds actually first time on the top 3 for Leeds in their fixture against Burnley. They have 36% chance of a clean sheet according to the bookies. Leeds have actually been quite good defensively. Twill Media, FPL Hippie from Blue Sky in UK here. Thanks for joining in. How are you, and are you prepared for game week 8? Still some time until the deadline, 6 days, but I'm usually doing Q&As the night before the deadline, but seeing this is an international break and I had some extra time this Sunday, I decided to try an early Q&A. Julian Swinburne, Raya, Gabriel, Romero, Senesi, and Richards in defense. Bruno Fernandes, Semenyo, Reinders, Gyökeres, and on the bench, Dubravka, Alderete, and Jai, and Stach. This is my team. So a triple up on Arsenal with Raya, Gabriel, and Gyökeres up front. At the moment, I actually think that Saka is the best option, especially considering the best attacking option from Arsenal. Gyökeres, of course, he can come good, but he hasn't actually looked that great in the last couple of game weeks. He's really heavily relying on his teammates. I would possibly look at a way to make room for Saka with this team, but it kind of depends how many free transfers you have, to be honest. Romero, decent option playing at home against Aston Villa. Spurs can potentially keep a clean sheet against them, but Aston Villa, they have looked a bit better, especially since around game week 6. That this was when Watkins got his first goal. We know that Watkins and Rodgers, they have actually performed during this international break as well, so I think that Aston Villa will come good going forward. But this team is definitely solid and good to go ahead of game week 8. My only worry, Julian Swinburne, is that you have Richards starting playing against Semenyo, so one of them will cancel each other out. So if Richards gets a clean sheet, this means that Semenyo will blank, or if Semenyo holds, this means that Richards will blank. So would probably bench Richards and play NGI, to be honest. He's on penalties for Everton. So my advice would be to bench Richards and play NGI. But of course, your team, your decision. But I think I would have started NGI and benched Richards. Twill Media, my game week 8 squad. Marvadashvili, Pope, Gabriel, Guardiola, Van Dijk, Senesi, and Alderete in defense. Saka, Reinders, Semenyo, Anthony, and Xhaka, Haaland, Voltmade, and Gyökeres. Let's see, of course, Pope, he has to start. Decent fixture for Newcastle playing against Brighton. So in my updated wildcard video, I actually talked about Nick Pope on a wildcard this game week. I like the fixtures. They have been one of the best defenses so far this season, only beaten by Arsenal. You have Gabriel, you have Guardiola as well. I really like this Man City defense ahead of game week 8, to be honest, and they are the bookies' favorite to keep a clean sheet. So Guardiola, really good option. Van Dijk, I'm not really sure if he is worth his outlay at the moment, but we will see. Of course, he has some attacking threat, but Van Dijk can potentially be one to to downgrade to upgrade in other areas. Senesi is in not the best fixtures for Bournemouth defensively, but he will probably continue picking up defensive contribution points. Alderete had some really good game weeks, but to be honest, I think that Sunderland, they will struggle a bit more going forward. So they had like this early boost from getting promoted to the Premier League, but the fixtures are piling up, and if they get a couple of injuries going forward, they don't have the same squad as the best teams. So I think that Sunderland will be a bit more vulnerable going forward, but of course at that price a solid option. In midfield, Saka, I love that pick. Reinders is in. Semenyo, safe option. Anthony, I read something about Anthony picking up an injury and maybe not participating in game week 8, so this is something to keep an eye on ahead of game week 8, and when we get closer to the press conferences that Anthony, he might actually miss game week 8. Xhaka, a decent bench option, only priced at 5. Maybe his price has gone up, not really sure, 5.1 probably. But at the moment, considering that they have a good fixture playing against Wolves, I think that he potentially can be in the starting 11 for game week 8. And up front, Haaland, Voltmada, and Gyökeres, all solid options. I talked about Gyökeres. I still think that Gyökeres is a good option, but my favorite Arsenal attacker is Saka. I play 4-3-3, yeah. I have 5 free transfers. Do you think I should play Alderete and NGI? I think I will play both NGI and Anton Stach ahead of Richards in game week 8, especially considering that you have Semenyo and that he will play against Richards. But I always try to avoid having my defenders playing against my midfielders and forwards, so you have decent options on the bench. NGI, he will start for Everton, even though the fixture is tough playing against Man City, but he's on some set pieces, including penalties. So he has good attacking stats as well, and if lead score, he will most probably be involved. So NGI against Liverpool, by the way. Do you still think I should start him? I think NGI is playing against Man City. Oh, sorry, yeah, Man City. Yeah, it's against Man City. Everton playing at the Etihad against Man City. It's a really tough fixture for Everton, but it's not like Man City can't concede a goal against Everton. I guess so. Yeah, no worries, no worries. I remember that Man City would play against Everton because this morning I actually checked the bookies' predicted clean sheets, and Man City at home against Everton, this came up on top. So Man City, they are the favorite to keep a clean sheet in game week 8. 48% chance of a clean sheet according to the bookies, playing at home against Everton. Daniel Wells, I got a dilemma in my team. If do bench boost, can bench boost Gakpo, Wirtz, and Kudus. So if you have Gakpo, Wirtz, and Kudus on your bench, yes, go for it. I think at the moment, if you have 15 starters in your team, I think that it's probably a good game week for a bench boost, to be honest, unless a lot of those players are playing against each other. So if you have some players on your bench playing against someone in your starting 11, I I wouldn't necessarily want to play the bench boost. So this is actually the case for me at the moment. I have my bench boost active, but I have Nico Williams playing against Joao Pedro, and I have in my starting 11 Rodgers playing against both Pedro Porro and Van de Ven. So I will most probably sell Rodgers and Williams to prepare for my bench boost. So my plan after this is to downgrade one player either in midfield or up front. I can bring in someone like Ubi from Man United. He's priced at 4.3 at the moment, and he can just sit last on my bench. Or I can just swap a midfielder to Josh King, the Fulham midfielder, just to have more of the funds in my starting 11. I've not got 15, I only got 12. So if you only have 12 starters, I would probably considering to just delay the bench boost, to be honest, unless you have a plan to get 15 strong starters. United aren't strong. Kudus could return against a weak Aston Villa defense. I definitely think that Kudus is a good option. I watched the game in game week 7 and he looked really, really threatening. Rodgers to Semenyo. I can potentially sell Rodgers to bring in Semenyo as well. Let's have a quick look. Maybe I'm priced out of that move at the moment. Oh, I'm actually 0.3 short of selling Rodgers to bring in Semenyo. His price has gone up to 7.9 at the moment, so. Of course, I can do something like Williams to, let's say, another option I'm really considering is to bring in Diouf. Let's just remove Williams and bring in Diouf. So this is an option. I have one 0.1 in the bank after selling Rodgers to bring in Semenyo and selling Williams to bring in Diouf. I kind of like those moves, to be honest. Team looks much better considering I will most probably just play my bench boost. So I need to get rid of Rodgers and I need to get rid of Williams. My initial plan was something similar, but with Enzo Fernandez instead of Semenyo. I've also considered to sell NGI as well and bring in Paqueta, Enzo Fernandez, and an Arsenal defender. I'm really tempted to bring in an Arsenal defender as well. Rank is taking a hit every clean sheet Arsenal keep, so at the moment I think it's probably a good idea to just bite the bullet and get someone like Gabriel, even though his price has gone up to 6.3. I still think that he is decent value. Julian Swinburne. I played my bench boost in game week 7 and only got 7 points. Yeah, tough luck. I think that the bench boost, it's a bit of luck involved, to be honest. So if you have a player on your bench that scores, you can potentially just call it a successful bench boost, but of course 7 points, not great, but I think that if you had 4 starters on the bench, you probably were a bit unlucky with no returns. Danica Jonas, Raya, Gabriel, Romero, Senesi, Foden, Reinders, Bruno, Semenyo, and up front, Haaland, Joe Pedro, and Gyökeres. On the bench, Dubravka, Alderete, Stach, and Rodon. Thinking Raya and Bruno to Saka and Pope. I actually like those moves. Raya, he's probably, I wouldn't say that he's a waste of an Arsenal spot, but at the moment they have really good options, and Saka definitely one of the best options as well. So it's a kind of sideways, of course, but I think that Saka is good enough to warrant those moves, to be honest. So it's a yes from me. Bruno Fernandes, of course, he will start for Man United, and he's probably still on penalties. But I think that Saka is a really good option going forward, considering their fixtures. He's done well for England in the international break as well. So Saka is starting to find some form with that ownership and priced at only 9.9. Saka, he would be one of my main priorities ahead of game week 8. So it's a yes from me. So Julian Swinburne, he played his bench boost in game week 7. Dubravka 2 points, Richards 3 points, Alderete with a 0, and Anton Stach with 2 points. I actually considered to play my bench boost in game week 7 as well, but I like the fixtures for game week 8 better, and this is why I waited. So Dubravka, actually a better fixture this game week, playing against Leeds. And I have Rodon this game week playing against Burnley. So of course they're playing against each other. So what I can hope for in game week 8 is a 0-0 against Burnley and Leeds. Not really sure this will happen, but hopefully one of the teams can keep a clean sheet in game week 8. Hopefully this will be a low scoring game. I'm gonna say goodbye now. I hope you have a wonderful day or night, and good luck for game week 8. So thanks for joining in. Best of luck for game week 8, and hopefully you'll have a great week. I will have another Q&A next Friday, or it's actually this Friday. So if you're interested, subscribe to the channel and join that one as well. I'll drop a sub. Thanks, really appreciate it. 3072, maybe this has gone up a bit. Maybe it's 3074, something like that. If you drop the sub, that's really appreciated. Danica Jonas, the thing about bench boosts, it's either a win or bust. Best of luck for the next one. Yeah, I agree, the bench boost. So let's have a quick look. I think it was in game week 6. Game week 6. Let's see. So this was my bench for game week 6. I didn't even consider playing my bench boost in game week 6. Not the best fixtures, but even though Fabian Schär, he missed out due to a concussion, I actually had a really good bench score in game week 6. 19 points. Dubravka, he blanked with 1 point, but I got a goal from Sar, and Rodon, he got a clean sheet. Or was it a goal? I think Rodon actually scored a goal in game week 6. So this would have been a successful bench boost, but I I wasn't even considering to hit the button in game week 6. So you need a bit of luck to have a successful bench boost, in my opinion. But of course, planning sets you up and makes it easier to have that bit of luck. So thanks for the Q&A. Thanks for joining in. As mentioned, I usually do Q&As the night before the deadline, so Friday night Q&As and Saturday deadline streams as well, but every game week I do a Friday night Q&A. So we run through the press conference and the team news and stuff like that and plan transfers, and I'm having those team reviews. So if you're interested, go post a picture of your team on my latest post on X and I'll get it up on the screen. Got 27 on my bench in game week 6, but it was my wildcard used. It is what it is, yeah. 27, I know the feeling, it kind of hurts, but at least you have those players in your team, right? And maybe you'll catch a couple of price rises, stuff like that. So it's a bit annoying, but it's actually maybe a good thing. Of course, if you're really 50-50 about putting someone in your starting 11 or on your bench, then it of course stings a bit more if the outcome is that your bench player delivers. But yeah, it is what it is, and you just have to use it for something positive. Have a good day, you too, and have a nice week. I know it's a long wait when those international breaks occur. I kind of missed the Premier League this season, to be honest. I watched a couple of international games. I actually watched the Norway game against Israel. Erling Haaland, he missed 2 penalties. At least he officially missed 1 penalty, because the second penalty he missed was actually a retake because the goalkeeper stepped out of his line, but he ended up with a hat-trick in that fixture, so don't really think that he cares that much, and hopefully his penalty misses is out of the way. So if Man City get a penalty in game week 8, hopefully Erling Haaland can bury that one. So my current game week 8 captain is Erling Haaland. There are a couple of other options, so if you're interested in watching my team selection video, my early team selection video with transfer plans, stuff like that, I would really appreciate if you gave that video a watch as well. It's on my YouTube profile, of course. Where should it else be? So this is my team ahead of game week 8. I have my bench boost active. I really want to get the bench boost out of the way. I have decent fixtures for a couple of players that usually are on my bench, like Dubravka and Rodon. This is why I'm considering to play my bench boost this game week. So Rodon playing against Burnley, Dubravka playing against Leeds, and I have a tough fixture for NGI, but hopefully he can do something, seeing that he is on set pieces, including penalties for Everton. So if I go through with the bench boost plan, I will definitely make 2 transfers. I will sell Rodgers. He's actually playing against 2 of my players, Pedro Porro and Van de Ven. And I will sell Nico Williams as well, as he is playing against my forward, Joe Pedro. So my first plan was actually to sell Rodgers to bring in Enzo Fernandez, but Enzo, he has picked up an injury during the international break for Argentina. So not sure if Enzo will be fit for game week 8. I have a couple of other options. Anthony Gordon, he could be a decent shout. I can bring in Paqueta as well. This is especially if Enzo Fernandez will miss game week 8, I will most probably do something like this. Rogers to Paquetá, and this will give me 6.5. Let's see. So if I do those moves, if I sell Rogers to bring in Paquetá, I will potentially have 6.5 million to replace Williams. So this can give me an Arsenal defender. I might go for Gabriel. He is the safest option, but he's priced at 6.3, so the most expensive defender in the game at the moment. I can go for someone like Timber as well. This will give me a bit more money in the bank, but so it's either Paquetá and an Arsenal defender, or if Enzo is fit, I can go for Enzo Fernandez, but then I will have to pick a cheaper defender, and it will probably be someone like Diouf from West Ham. I think Rodgers is beginning to find form, had a lot of chances in his last game. Yeah, I think that he actually has looked decent every game so far this season. He was a bit lucky picking up that assist with his hand, but considering the fixtures for Aston Villa, I think it's probably time to let Aston Villa assets go for now. Probably pick them up later when the fixture gets a bit better. Let's take a quick look at these fixtures. So these are the short-term fixtures for Aston Villa. They play against Spurs away in game week 8, then they play Man City, then they have Liverpool, and a tough game as well, playing against Bournemouth in game week 11. So tough fixtures for Aston Villa. I will probably give Rodgers a rest from my team. One of the reasons why I'm really tempted to sell Rodgers is because the fact that I'm playing my bench boost and I have Rodgers playing against my double Spurs defense. So it really makes sense, especially for my team and my situation, to sell Rodgers ahead of game week 8. Man City, Liverpool, Bournemouth probably can consider to get Aston Villa assets in from game week 12. But as mentioned, Rodgers, I really agree. Danica Jonas is starting to pick up for me. Actually has gotten assists in the last 2 game weeks, as we can see. Game week 6, game week 7, 5 points. Not the best, but at least this is 10 points in 2 game weeks, right? So no blanks in the last couple of game weeks. So I don't necessarily think that Rodgers is a must sell ahead of game week 8, but I will most probably get rid of him, but potentially get him back later on. Juan Ikwan, hi, how do you do? I hope you're well. Just tune in from Norway, right? All good, thanks. Yes, Norway. Same country as Erling Haaland. This has been commented in the chat before. Let's see if I can get my team back. So as mentioned, if I decide to bring in Paquetá, I can potentially get an Arsenal defender, as this will give me 6.5 in the bank. I would be tempted to bring in a Man City defender as well, someone like Guardiola. Solid FPL option, of course, and Man City, they are the bookie's favorite to keep a clean sheet in game week 8 for their fixture at home against Everton, but I think that long term it's a better idea to bring in an Arsenal defender to like cover their defense. They are the best defense in the league. They had the best defensive stats this season, and they had for all of the 24-25 season as well. So Arsenal defense is on top of my list ahead of game week 8. If I bring in someone like Enzo Fernandez or Anthony Gordon to replace Rodgers, I cannot afford an Arsenal defender, and this is why Paqueta is really tempting for me ahead of game week 8. I still think that Enzo Fernandez, if he's fit, is probably the way to go. So selling Rodgers to bring in Enzo Fernandez. I had kind of decided to bring in Enzo Fernandez before we got the news that he has withdrawn from the Argentina camp. So one Ikwan, okay, my team, Ruffs, Donnarumma, Tarkovsky, Byrne, Senesi, Timber, and Shaloba, Semenyo, Enzo, Paqueta, Grealish, Anthony. Up front, Voltmada, Holland, and Gyökeres. I still have 4 free transfers. Should I bench boost or roll? Who should I change if I bench boost? So let's have a look. You have 2 starting goalkeepers, both Ruffs and Donnarumma. Tarkovsky, of course, with a bit of a tough fixture, playing at the Etihad. Dan Byrne is decent. Senesi, not the best fixture, playing against Crystal Palace either. You have Timber, Shaloba. Is Shaloba even fit? Let's have a quick look to see. Yeah, no news on Trevor Shaloba. Probably start game week 8. They have a lot of other injuries, but Shaloba looks to be fine. Semenyo, Enzo Fernandez, Paqueta, Grealish, Anthony, Voltmada, Hallenjöker. So there are a couple of yellow flags in your team at the moment. Enzo Fernandez and Anthony both have withdrawn from this international break. So of course, if they both are fit and fine ahead of game week 8, so I would definitely wait and see what's being said in the press conference ahead of game week 8. But there are some rumors that Anthony potentially can miss game week 8, and the same goes for Enzo Fernandez. So with this team, if both Enzo Fernandez and Anthony is fit, I would actually consider to do something with Tarkovsky. I'm not sure if he is worth the outlay at the moment. Keane, he will miss game week 8 as well, most probably because of an injury he picked up in game week 7. Really tough game against Man City, so I think that it's probably easier if you decide not to play bench boost to just put Tarkovsky on the bench. But if you're really interested in playing your bench boost, Tarkovsky is probably a decent transfer out. Can potentially try to look at a way to bring Saka into your team. Let's have a quick look. So we have Timber and you have Gyökeres, so 2 Arsenal players. We have an open spot for Saka in there. You have Grealish, you have Tarkovsky. Grealish will potentially play against your goalkeeper Donnarumma. So there are a couple of things with this team that it doesn't really scream bench boosts, to be honest. So my advice would be definitely to wait and see what's the situation with both Enzo Fernandez and Anthony. If they're injured, of course you can survive. If they only miss 1 game, they can just stay on your bench. But as mentioned, you will have a couple of players playing against each other. So Donnarumma will play against Grealish and Tarkovsky. But I still like Gyökeres, Hallen, Voltmade, decent front three. So Ruffs, Senesi, Byrne, Timber, Enzo, Anthony, Semenyo, Pakita, Voltmade, Gyökeres, Hallen. The bench will be Tarkowski, Shaloba, Donnarumma, and Grealish. I could roll, I think, with this lineup, definitely. No need to make any transfers. You have really solid team, 15 strong players, so no need to make a transfer. But if you're considering to play the bench boost, I would potentially at least do something about Tarkowski. I think it's a bit expensive to have as a rotation player, to be honest. It comes in at 5.5, so if you're not going to start a 5.5 defender week in, week out, I think it's better to just downgrade and have a bit more funds to use in your actual starting 11. But Christian, Ashley, great content. Thanks. Really, really appreciate it. That's really, really appreciated. I don't usually do Q&As this early. I usually do them the night before the deadline. So I usually have Friday night Q&As with a bit more information because I only watch the press conferences and we discuss injury news and transfers and stuff like that. But had a bit of time this Sunday, so decided to try an early Q&A. I know that a lot of FPL managers are playing their wildcard or free hit team, so thought it would be interesting to discuss FPL. So I really actually miss FPL this weekend. As mentioned earlier, I watched a couple of international games, but of course FPL is on top of my list. Napstars, great team. Good luck to all. Thanks for joining in. So I'll have to go soon myself, but if you enjoyed the content, as Christian Ashley said in the comments, really, really appreciate it. Subscribe to the channel. I usually do Friday night Q&As. I post weekly team selection videos as well. So I actually posted my team selection video a couple of days ago, and I made a wildcard and free hit video as well. I will make an updated wildcard and free hit video because there actually have been some injuries and I made some changes to my team. So if you're interested in watching those, subscribe to the channel and join in on Friday for the next Q&A. So, but if you don't want to join the next Q&A, I'm really hoping that you'll have a nice green arrow for game week 8. FPL mornings for the real addicts. I have to be honest that I really missed FPL this weekend, to be honest. But as mentioned, if you're interested, go join the next Q&A. It will be Friday night, the night before the deadline. If I don't see you, have a nice week and best of luck for game week 8. Let's see, Rat Dog have 3 free transfers. Would you do Bruno and Richarlison to Saka and Calvert-Lewin? I would be really, really tempted. I love Saka going forward. He's selected by below 10%. He's priced at below 10 million as well. So a really, really good option, especially after we got the confirmation that he is the first choice penalty taker for Arsenal. So Saka in, yes. Calvert-Lewin, he's been discussed so far. Napstars, he owns Calvert-Lewin at the moment. I have been burnt by Calvert-Lewin a couple of times before when he played for Everton, but of course he looks like a nailed on number 9 for Leeds at the moment. They have some good fixtures coming up, and especially the fixture for game week 8, so I actually like those moves. Richarlison and Bruno out. Saka, Calvert-Lewin in. I think that at some point Richarlison, he will probably be a sell. They will get their other forwards back soon, Solanke and Kolumani. So selling Richarlison, I think this is a good idea. Is Calvert-Lewin the best option? I'm not really sure. My preferred option at that price point would probably be Strand Larsen from Wolves, but of course, if you think Calvert-Lewin will do well, I think this is an upgrade. You're selling a player that's nailed on and on penalties, but I'm not sure if Man United will do well going forward, but I'm pretty sure that Saka and Arsenal will. So Bruno and Richarlison to Saka and Calvert-Lewin, it's a yes from me. But as mentioned, I have to go, so hopefully you enjoyed this Q&A. The next one will be on Friday. Orange Apple, hey bro, how are you? Just fine, just fine. Just had a nice hour with a Q&A this Sunday morning. I usually don't do Sunday Q&As, but I just figured since it's an international break and I had some extra time, I just thought, why not? I have a couple of issues with my team. I'm really looking forward to the press conference. Enzo Maresca, hopefully he will tell us if Enzo Fernandez is fit or not. My plan is to sell Rodgers and bring in Enzo Fernandez, but at the moment, I'm not really sure if he will play. So this is actually not my team. I have... there it is. So I have Rodgers and I have Nico Williams. They will most probably be sold ahead of game week 8. And hopefully I will avoid more injuries and be able to play my bench boost for game week 8. So really looking forward to the press conferences on Thursday, Friday. The next Q&A will be on Friday. Hopefully I'll see you then. Thanks for joining in. Have a good day. Have a good week. And hopefully I'll see you on Friday.